Hey everybody, my name is Mr. Dupa. That right there is Adam Obeses Rodriguez.
Hello, Internet.
Drunk Dave Romero couldn't make it today. Southwest has dicked him again. He is stuck in the air right now. So in his stead, we have the Orange Blossom Pilsner Squared. It's, 11.2 ABV? Oh, man.
Probably close to the strongest one I think we've ever had on the show.
It might be. And it's local. That's how you know it's good. It's from the OBP Brewing Company, the Orange Blossom Brewing Company, right here in Orlando, Florida. Let's have a good time, because this is the One Beer In podcast.
Damn it.
I need a new bottle opener.
Me too.
All right.
Lost to be found by someone to save you when you're down. Yes, I'm bored when it's bright out. So bored when it's bright out. 4 to 5 a.m. takes me to a place where I fit in.
That's good. Oh, that's tasty, man. It's delicious. It has that honey back there, that orange taste. I mean, it's namesake basically, but you can really taste it.
Yeah, it's like biting into like a really sweet orange.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get a second taste in here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's a bit too sweet for beer.
Yeah, I was going to say that before too, because I've actually had this one in the past a few times. And I think I kind of prefer the regular OBP.
Yeah.
Not the squared or 2 or whatever it is. Because it is just, it's good if you're having one. I think that's what it's meant for, really, because it's so high in alcohol content.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a bit much if you're having any more than one bottle.
Yeah, it is.
It's a little overpowering.
Yeah. Because the problem with it, and the problem with straight up honey, which is why I never like dug honey, was it's just too sweet. You know, I like fruit juices and you know, candy and shit, obviously, but you know, honey was just,
you like artificial sweeteners. That's what it is.
Honey's just, it's too sweet. I like guava paste, or like you know, it has to have like a little bit of tart, a little bite.
Yeah.
It's too sweet.
Yeah, a little more of a balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go 4.
4. I'll go for 5, because I actually do still really like it, but it comes with that sort of one condition, that it's a little strong. So if you don't like your beers to be too strong, you like more of a drinkable type of beer, I'd recommend just regular OBP. It's much more drinkable.
It just I'm not used to it. You know, that's the thing. Like if you just put these flavors in a fruit drink or something, and like mix this with like vodka or something, it would probably be easier to go down. But when you can just go back on the last episodes and see our track record of the kind of beer that we drink. Yeah. And then to introduce this, it's definitely it's probably the strongest, definitely the sweetest.
I wouldn't go sweetest, because remember we had like the chocolate ones and, you know, stuff that.
But still, I mean, I don't know. I think this would be worse. Not worse, but more. Worse is a bad word.
You know, it's a stronger flavor than some of the chocolate ones we've had. But
yeah. Well, it's not bad.
No. Definitely not as drinkable as a lot of the beers that we do enjoy, I'd say.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's come to be expected with such a high alcohol content too, because a lot of those beers are much heavier, and it's for that reason. You know? Yeah.
So bottom line is, it's a good beer. Tastes good, but if you don't want something that's too sweet, you want to keep it moving. I like OB suggested, go with the original OBP. You don't want the squared.
Yeah.
Little too sweet.
Squared, I'd say, is more of like I don't know, almost like a heavy winter beer in a way, you know, makes it feel warm, and it's less drinkable on like a hot summer night. Yeah. So ironic that it comes from Orlando too.
It's more like it's more like almost like a tea, but not something that wouldn't be good as an iced tea, you know?
Mm.
Like it's that warming thing, but there's that sweetness back there at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's like a green tea.
Yeah.
Green
like
honey
a
tea.
sweetened green tea.
Yeah.
Which you hate tea.
Yeah.
So
Unless it's iced tea.
yeah. All right.
So
Just fake tea.
yeah, basically. Like Lipton or something like that. It's gotta be just
Brisk.
American, very Americanized.
Syrup.
Very basically.
Mm.
That's the only kind of tea I'm drinking.
Enjoy syrup. That's all right.
I had once when I was sick, green tea and honey and mint, I think.
Mm.
And I mean, it was the worst thing I'd ever had, but made me feel better. I will say that.
It's medicine.
And as a musician, you know it helps too.
Yeah, definitely.
Really made the throat, the vocal cords, all that.
Open up.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Anyway, 4 and 4.5, still a pretty solid rating.
Recommended.
Mhm.
On a recommended list. For sure.
Yep. As I stated, this is the One Beer In Podcast. This is episode 20. Another
Wow.
milestone.
Yeah, we made. I didn't even realize.
Yep. I was thinking
man.
about it, and now I kind of feel bad that Drunk Dave's not here
I know.
because we hit the big 2-0.
Yeah. Well.
We're one episode away from legally drinking these.
Yippee.
But yeah,
Bubba's
feels
here in
good.
spirit. It's okay.
I think we can take a couple minutes to kind of reflect a little bit. Again, it's another milestone.
Yeah.
Once we hit 10, 15, now we hit 20.
Mhm.
We're moving right along.
Yeah. The main thing that sticks out to me is when we hit I think 10, was it? When we hit double digits, we kind of did a little
Yeah.
thing. I remember us saying that we would start filming these things by episode 25. So
We're coming up on that.
yeah, so we might want to start looking into that.
Get in on that.
Yeah.
I'm proud of what we've done so far.
Yeah.
I like the look and everything. Every episode we expand more. Now we've got the Instagram account. Stuff that we should have had.
Yeah.
But
Thank you all for following, by the way.
right. And it's slowly expanding and slowly starting to bring in people and
Shaping up,
Yeah.
we're getting sort of a brand together.
digging it, man.
It's not just three guys drinking beer and talking crap, though it is sort of that too.
It's kind of that.
Yeah. It's the magic, though.
So,
Moving right along.
Yep.
First of all, before I forget, today was a big day for me personally because it is the first day of the beta for Destiny on PlayStation 4.
big day.
Big day. Big day. I was there sitting there waiting for the PlayStation Network to stop screwing up. And it took about an hour. So it wasn't that bad, I guess, considering that, the internets are known to kind of shun gamers whenever a big online game comes out. But yeah, once I got it finally downloaded, it's like a 10 gig download or something like that.
That's like a full fucking game
Yeah.
for the beta.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's a lot.
Well, a full game of like maybe an indie game, because with this new gen, everything's like 50 gigs apparently.
By the way, how many gigs does the PlayStation 4 come with?
500 gigs. Pretty sure.
Okay.
Lock that down. Yeah.
Okay, Jim.
Yeah, but the good thing with the PlayStation 4 is that you can already upgrade it with, terabytes of what's it? SSD memory? Right? That's what it's called? We need David here.
Yep.
This is where he comes in handy. He's calling us idiots.
Yep.
Right now. Yep. But yeah, the memory is upgradable. So you'd have to crack it open, buy the expensive ass memory and put it in there. But on the other hand, it's kind of cool that you're able to upgrade it like you would a PC.
Yeah.
Basically. So a lot of people are doing that. They say it works out. Anyway, back to Destiny. It's honestly incredible. And I didn't think I'd be saying that when I first booted it up.
Yeah, me neither.
I wasn't that hot on it when I was just watching it on IGN and, seeing people preview it and stuff
I don't
like that.
remember any of us saying that it was on our list of E3 winners. I could be wrong.
I think one of us may have said it in passing, but it definitely wasn't like the top.
No. Because, we watched it, and it was like, it starts off, it's pretty cool, and then it gets better, and then the multiplayer, you're like, those are pretty cool ideas, but nothing really makes you go, oh, yeah, I need that first day.
And I think it's because it's the way that people compare it to other stuff. Because people are saying it's a mix of Halo and Borderlands and, MMOs, things like that, like the World of Warcraft type of systems within it. But really when they put it together and you actually get hands-on with it is when you kind of feel the magic of it. Like it's hard to describe when you're just watching it on a screen, but once you actually get into the world and get into the mechanics of everything, it feels like the spiritual successor of Halo to me, which is great because I'm a big Halo fan, but it's more than that. Yeah. Like it seems like what they would have done if they still had Halo as a franchise, but weren't tied down to, like the Master Chief thing and being able to expand that world and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I'm really, really happy with what I've been playing so far. And if the beta is any indication of how the game's going to actually turn out, I'm excited about my pre-order. And
so you pre-ordered it?
Oh, yeah, that's how you get the beta.
Oh, okay.
So once you get the pre-order in, they give you the beta codes. And then they're going to shut it down until the game comes out. And then you're able to pick up.
How many hours of gameplay did you get in so far?
I'd say at least 3.
I like the fact that games do this now with the whole beta testing thing. I don't know what that means for game testers. I don't know if that kind of puts them out of business because now they're asking the consumer to test the game for them, basically.
Here's the thing, though. The beta that they put out on these systems like the Destiny one, I don't think are true betas. Honestly, they're way too polished to be a beta in the sense that betas used to be on PC.
Right. And still are.
Yeah, still are. That's really where that entire thing started. The whole thing of having the community really be a part of the game creation, really.
Right.
Fine-tuning things and getting them all locked down. Back in the day, I remember looking at betas as basically glorified demos in a way. Mm-hmm. And things really looking kind of shabby, and in a way they kind of turned me off, to be honest with you. So what they're doing with betas now and basically releasing a vertical slice of the finished product, basically.
Yeah.
And taking the analytics of that and just fine-tuning little things, not making big, additions or subtractions to it, seems to be working out.
Right.
Because that's been the main thing that's getting people jazzed about this game to begin with, is the alpha came out. People weren't really talking about the game, even though there have been commercials and, they've reportedly put millions of dollars in advertising.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll see more of that as the game's about to come out, but nothing's really been working for people. Like I was saying, nothing's really gotten me excited for it except for getting my hands on it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but you had to pre-order it to get it.
But
so you just took a chance?
Well, here's the thing. The name Bungie holds a lot of gravity. For you. For me. For a lot of people, though.
Yeah.
A lot of people
for Xbox loyalists.
Well, not even anymore, because now they're doing... they're sort of favoring the PlayStation now. So maybe Xbox converts, I guess, would be the main people to be into this. But the thing is, Bungie itself, the name alone, carries a lot of weight. So I trust that they are good developers based on what they've done in the past. I know they're a solid company, a solid group, and from what I had seen, it looked cool, but I wasn't quite sure. But then again, $5 isn't a whole lot to, put my trust into. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you can move that on to something else if the reviews come out and everybody says it sucks.
Yeah.
So that was worth the chance for me. And on top of that, they were smart in giving everybody that got the beta access 3 codes. So not only can you get into the beta, but you can invite 2 friends to get in on it with you too.
Yeah, that's I like that. I don't know why they're being so generous with the download codes, but pretty cool.
I mean, if you think of it this way, it's basically, like you were saying, free testers to kind of, I wouldn't say test out the game, but maybe test out and stress test their servers mostly. Because that's been the main problem with these types of games, like I mentioned before.
Always.
Anything that is online only, or anything that is heavily online, day one always crashes. That's been the way things have been.
Yep.
And with something that has like cloud servers and things like that, I'm looking at Xbox One in particular, that's vital to anything you do within that game.
I will say this, for the record, the Titanfall rollout was really good.
Yeah.
They handled that expertly. I know there were some people who had to deal with some shoddy servers, but for the most part, that gameplay couldn't have been smoother.
Yeah, it worked out really well for them. The only problem with it now is that it doesn't really have legs. People aren't really still playing that game.
I let my brother borrow it. I'm not playing it.
Well, there you go. There you go.
I mean, it just, it is totally geared toward the people who bought Call of Duty but never beat the story mode. It is totally geared toward them because those are the kind of people who, not shitting on them, but they're a different kind of gamer. They're a casual gamer who says, I don't give a shit about the story, these characters. Right. I just want to go online and talk shit and play games online. That's really all I care about. And that, there's a time and a place for everything. It's just you don't want to gear a whole game to that one consumer, which is what I think Titanfall did. Yeah. So hopefully on part 2, which obviously inevitably will be a part 2. I think they've already talked about it, but
part 2, and I can almost guarantee that it's going to be multi-platform.
It has to be. It has to be.
So it's going to be bigger, better. I'm sure they
didn't want to. I don't think they even wanted to do it exclusively on Xbox. I'm sure they didn't. Just they had it like already set, and then halfway through it, they're like, "Why are we doing this? we could go multi-platform. This is ridiculous." But
from what I heard on the internet, so it has to be true, is that apparently there were some behind closed doors dealings with Microsoft, where towards the end of their production, Microsoft offered up some money for them to finish up, polishing up the game, as long as they kept it on their platform only. And PC, obviously, but, Yeah.
I mean, it was smart on Xbox's part to do that, on Microsoft's part to get a game exclusive like that, because nowadays, I mean, there's like 6 games, honestly, that are exclusive now. The Metal Gear franchise really isn't exclusive anymore.
No, absolutely not. Multi-platform, for sure.
Infamous, Uncharted, Last of Us, Halo. Gears of War, Mass Effect. Or is that multi-platform?
Multi-platform. Yeah.
So, I mean, there's not a lot of exclusives anymore. And, I mean, that used to be the part of the thrill of being somebody who was a loyalist to one of the consoles. Like there was an article about Microsoft closing the Xbox gaming division that they have, which is something else we can talk about entirely. But just strictly about the comment section of this article, the level of fanboyism between Xbox, PlayStation, and the PC master race.
Now, hold on a sec. Was that an article that came out today?
Yeah.
I think what that article was about was
what thou art
article was fine about. I think what that article was about was actually the Xbox video studio closing down. Not their gaming studio.
I'll be honest with you, I skipped straight to the comment section. So
you're a terrible person.
I didn't care.
I do it too. Don't worry. You want to see the flames. You want to see.
Okay, I said this on Twitter, and I'll say it now in real life. If you want to enjoy anything, ignore the comment section. Ignore it completely. But if you want to see people bantering and arguing and going back and forth, go straight to the comment section.
It's the worst of humanity.
Oh, definitely. So like, if you got a video on YouTube that you love, don't scroll down. Just watch the video and then move on. Because if you scroll down, people are going to make you feel like such a turd for liking whatever you like. And it's like, it's amazing to me still to this day that there are things that like aren't universally loved. But not only are they not universally loved, but there are people out there who just hate with a burning passion what you love. And it's amazing to me, the different tastes like that.
I want to start a movement. I'm sitting here for the people to hear so they can follow this and maybe find a hashtag for it. I want to do a reverse troll where I want everybody on a certain comment section for something that may be shitty or something like, bronies or something,
Right.
Like something that is going to get trolled out of. And I want to have it only be positive.
Right.
Positive comments, thumbs up, and that's it.
You got to go to 4chan.
And just
build an army.
Yes. Amass an army of positivity.
Right. How amazing would that actually be, though?
I want to see that happen.
Because how quickly can you gather thousands of people to write a petition to, get Justin Bieber sent back to Canada? I mean, you could do that in a second. You
Yep.
just tell people, hey, I got this petition, sign it. And 50,000 people will sign it. The president will have to respond and all that bullshit. But if you try to do something like what you're talking about, you'll get like a couple hundred people, maybe.
Yeah. Well, it's because positivity's not cool.
You don't want that.
No.
You don't want that. Although that's what the internet could use a little bit of. just a little bit of positivity.
I think it's equally as funny, to be honest with you.
When it's not, positivity is equally as funny as...
Yeah, if you were to have an entire thread of just, that looks awesome, I can't wait for that to come out. It's not my cup of tea, but I'm super happy for you guys.
I mean, yeah, if it was an entire comment section of that, yeah, it'd be hilarious.
It'd be hilarious. Make it happen, people.
To get back to what I was saying.
Hashtag reverse troll. Hashtag LLORT. Lort. That's a reverse troll.
Got
Got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to have to write that down.
All right, make it happen.
The fuck was I talking about?
I'm sorry.
Xbox, Microsoft, okay, Xbox versus PlayStation versus PC. The three-way war that's still going on between people who give a shit about stuff like that. It's amazing to me that there are still people who, they're the people on there who were sarcastic about it, like, PC master race, blah, blah, blah. But then there are people on there, there's people who are all over the internet who are serious about that level of
fanboy-ism?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course they are.
But it's just incredible to me that people can still be so against, like, what does it matter?
It's because people have no other way of getting that aggression out, honestly.
Yeah.
You sit at work for 8 hours a day, sitting on your computer, doing nothing, And what do you have to physically, exert that sort of just human animosity that we all build up throughout the day?
They're definitely not working out, I'll tell you that much.
No, of course not. Because PC Master Race.
Your face drunk, Dave.
This is the time we get to talk shit.
We told him.
Yeah.
He knew it was coming. But yeah, they don't. You're right. That level of frustration has to be taken out some way, I guess. And I mean, that goes for, I think everything on the internet.
Yeah.
Like I said, any comment section you go on, if you enjoy something, do not look at the comments because you're going to see that level of aggression on everything.
Especially when you're anonymous, too.
Yeah. Oh, man.
The anonymity is what makes it easy for people to really be assholes.
Yeah.
Basically.
But it's just such an easy thing for people to do and to be is behind that veil and not have to worry about being judged. I mean, I get it. People don't want to be judged, but they want to judge. Yeah. And that's the problem. People so easily want to judge other people, but don't want to be judged. I mean, we do it all the time.
Oh, yeah.
We fucking see a guy walking out of an elevator like, look at this fucking guy. Fuck him. You size him up. I
think that's just you, Marco.
Maybe it's just me. But
your internal monologue is just like this fucking guy.
It really is. Every fucking person. Look at this fucking
it's guy. It's the guy from Goodfellas constantly in your head.
His fucking sandals. His fucking Crocs.
Get the fuck out of here. Yeah. No, I get what you're saying, though.
But you have to be, you have to be honest and you have to own up to it and you have to, and that's the problem with these comment sections and that's what I like about some comment sections where it's like they don't let you be anonymous. They say, hey, look, you want to comment, you need to connect it with your Facebook or you need to put a real name on here or connect it to your Google Plus account. Some people say that's too much, but I think it forces people to own up to what they're saying.
It gives you complete ownership over your comments,
right?
Which is fair,
It really is. I think if you feel like what you're about to say needs to be said, then you should at least put your face or your real name behind it. Because, you wouldn't, 90% of the time, these guys wouldn't say this stuff in real life. They wouldn't say it to the person. Right. No. So then don't fucking say it online.
It's like talking behind somebody's back.
Yeah.
If you put up just a persona online and you know that there's no repercussions for what you're about to say to somebody, even though you know it's going to hurt them. And that's why you do it, is because it gives you power over them. Don't do it. That's really a cowardly thing to do. Yep. And it's been birthed by the anonymous internet culture that we live in right now. So, you know, we have a bunch of basically passive-aggressive people that live behind their computer and get these thrills off of ruining other people's lives, basically.
It's like that the Louis C.K. has that bit about how, you know, kids don't have empathy because they're growing up behind that computer screen. So, like, if you make fun of somebody in person and you're able to see their face and see how it affects them, it affects you too.
Right. It makes you feel bad.
Right. But if you're not, you don't get that empathy. It's not inside of you. So if you make fun of somebody and you just go, you know, you're fat and they're hurt, but you don't see the hurt, you're just like, that was fun.
Yeah.
And you hold on to that feeling, and then you grow up knowing that level is just enjoyable to you all the time.
Yeah. And
people aren't getting that. It's just technology. It has, there's the pros and cons with technology. And
we mentioned that before.
Yeah, the biggest thing is just the lack of. We talked about how just people just can't. They're losing humanly functions as people because of the internet. But we're not going to harp on that too much because we definitely have talked about it before in the past.
And we're on the internet, so
right. So
this is an internet-based show.
Don't beat us up in the comment section.
Right.
So, I guess
actually, come to think of it, to back up on what you're originally talking about, specifically within gaming and being a fanboy and that type of thing. I think it's funny to see that when, I'd say within maybe 15 years' time, we're probably just going to have a universal box that plays games.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
You have the cloud. You have your, Panasonic video game 3000 or something.
Right.
That plays any game. And you'll have the Nintendos. You'll have the PlayStation still. You'll have the Microsoft still. Or Xbox brand, I should say.
It'll be an emulator box, basically.
And you'll be able to probably stream those games or, just play a universal disc that will work on any of those consoles. Just like a Blu-ray player plays all Blu-rays. Doesn't matter if it's from, Fox or Universal or whatever. It is a single multimedia platform. You don't have to worry about it. The only thing you would possibly buy is maybe peripherals. And, if some people prefer one box over the other, that's fine. But it's none of this, like, fanboy wars anymore. I'm almost 100% sure of this. Come back to me in 10 to 15 years.
Hopefully we'll still be doing the podcast.
Yeah. Episode 3000. I can't do math, so that's probably not even...
It might be a little too much.
A little too much. But my point is that I really think that we're heading towards a universal box that just plays games. And I think this whole fanboy thing is going to be a thing of the past.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're going to find something else to fight about. Like Nintendo makes the best games and, whatever. That type of thing. But I think that's a little more healthy than I want Xbox to die out because I own a PlayStation 4.
Right.
And
that's
kind of logic.
That's what is prevalent throughout these comment sections and these message boards is that kind of thinking.
Or it's even worse than that. It's more of a
you need to die because you own that system.
I have a PlayStation 4. You have an Xbox, so you're an idiot.
Right. You're a bad person for having something that I don't have.
Yeah.
Something different from me. Yeah. You're different from me. You need to die.
It's so easy to fall into that, though, isn't it?
Yeah, sometimes
we've done it before. Yeah. It's been a conversation we've had to have.
Well, we've talked about it and we've talked shit to each other about it, but like I've never done it on a comment section, for instance. I've never felt so strongly about either system because I've owned all of them except for Super Nintendo. We talked about that before, but I've owned all of them except for that, so I never felt strongly about either one to hate the person who owned the other system.
Well, I think it's bigger than that. I think it's just the hatred of somebody that likes something that you don't, or likes something that is different from what you like.
Right.
Because, when I was talking about us having that conversation on this podcast, it was about, just people having a different, musical taste even.
Yeah.
It's like some people like electronic dance music. You don't. But you're not going to call people that like electronic dance music idiots.
Well, you know what, though? it took me a long time to not do that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that that's been a problem for us too.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to fall into that sort of slump of humanity.
Yeah, because the way you look at people who don't enjoy what you enjoy. Okay, not everybody. People do this. Cynical, judgmental people like myself do this. And I'm trying to break free from it. It's hard because it's easy to fall, like you said, it's easy to fall into that negativity. But to look at somebody who doesn't like what you like, but that, you know, when they like something else and you go, you're an idiot for liking it. How can you like that? That's so stupid.
Right. This is bad, so you're dumb.
That's bad. You're bad. You should feel bad for liking that bad thing. It is really easy to fall into that. It's hard to tell yourself, like, look, man, just let them like it.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt you.
Right. What does it matter? You know, just let them like it. So that is something that I've been consciously trying to stop doing because that kind of negativity just stays with you, man. Yeah. You know, it's like the symbiote. It's just sticky and it brings you down. It doesn't do anything for it. You know?
So with that, we love you Miller drinkers. We love you Bud Light lovers.
Bud Light.
You know, enjoy whatever beer you want.
Yeah, PBR. If that's your bag, man.
Go for it, man.
Fucking do it, man.
It's fine. We may be fans, but that doesn't mean we don't like you.
As a person.
Right.
You're probably a great guy.
Right.
Or a girl.
Whatever.
But just stop drinking that kind of beer.
In our opinion.
In our opinion, you shouldn't do it to yourself.
Asterisk.
You deserve better, is what I'm saying.
There you go. Look.
You deserve better.
You should be a politician.
Right?
That was good.
That was good.
That was good.
Clink, clink for that.
All right. So moving on.
Right along.
Actually, talking about politicians. Good segue here. The good old Cap.
The Cap.
Captain America of Marvel fame. We both loved Captain America 2.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Captain America 2? What?
It's really good. It was basically Avengers 2.
Yeah.
It's real good.
That was a dope motherfucking movie.
Really good. Anyway, so it's been recently revealed on Stephen Colbert, nonetheless.
Yeah.
What
a weirdly appropriate platform.
I thought that was really good. That was a good tie-in they did there.
Yeah, that was smart.
But it's been unveiled that Captain America within the comics is going from Steve Rogers, which we all know from the comics, to Sam Wilson, which was a recent fan favorite of Captain America 2 in the films, which you might know as Falcon. So, with that being said, we have a black Captain America.
Yep.
How do we feel about that?
It kind of ties into what we were talking about with the vitriol that is on these comment sections. I mean, I saw some people, being racist about it. I saw people thinking, these liberal douchebags are taking over everything and blah, 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 this, that, and the third.
Yeah.
I don't really know obviously I don't know the agenda of the writers and the people who decided that Captain America should go in this direction. But I mean, as far as the way that it's written, I mean, these guys have been making these comics for decades, man.
Yeah.
You think they're just going to change a character to fit what? What agenda are they fitting at this point? I mean, he's been Steve Rogers for 60 years.
Well, spoiler alert within the comics. And mind you, this isn't even something I've been deeply invested in. For full disclosure, I don't really read Captain America.
Right.
It's just a character I've known the story of. So
he's not all that compelling, in my opinion.
He's become compelling, and the storylines that I've heard of with him make him a very compelling character. So Steve Rogers, within the comics of the past storyline, he ends up dying, and then Bucky ends up bringing up the reins as Captain America proper.
Okay.
So that went on for a while, but that storyline obviously ended. They went back to Steve Rogers, the original Captain America.
Before you continue, that's kind of another thing that bothers me about comics, which is why I could never really get into them. I mean, I have read comics before and I enjoy them as a medium, but as far as being invested into them, how can you be invested in a character who can die at any moment and then 6 months later come back at any moment? They've done it all the time.
How can you be invested in the World Wrestling Entertainment?
That's different.
Okay.
Because
Because when they die, they stay dead.
well, they do.
Because they die in real life.
Exactly, they're real people.
Concussions.
But like, okay, yeah. But with that, when they change it, like, okay, in WWE, for instance, if they change a character too fast, it is jarring.
Yeah.
And it's too much, and it does rip you out of it. And because as a grown man still watching wrestling, you have to look at it like you would watch a horror film or sci-fi film. You have to suspend your disbelief, and you just have to give yourself to it and just go along for the ride.
Or a comic book.
Or a comic book. Yeah, you can suspend your disbelief with that. But at the same time, how can you be invested in anything? Because it's when you invest yourself into something like that, and then they do something like that, it rips you out and makes you fully aware of what's going on. Right. So like in wrestling, for instance, if a character comes out and he's I'll give you a good example. This is going to go over everybody's head who doesn't watch wrestling, but there's a wrestler named Cody Rhodes. He's the son of Dusty Rhodes, legend. He's the brother of Goldust. He wrestled under his real name for the majority of his career, and then one day just decided he was going to be Stardust, which is, if you know anything about wrestling and you know Goldust and you know Stardust has to be as weird or weirder. Right. But it was such a full jarring, full body suit,
head
paint,
makeup,
yes, everything, full on. But it was just so weird and so jarring and so different and too sudden. You. And it rips you out. It makes you immediately aware of what you're watching. And it's the same thing with anything. If you don't do something subtle enough and nuanced enough, you become aware of what's going on.
It rips you out and makes it plainly obvious that this is all fiction.
Right. And then once you're in that state, you're looking around like, well, why am I even watching it?
What am I doing here? I'm wasting my time.
I'm leaving.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. But the thing that's never really bothered me within the realm of comics, honestly. Because maybe it's the way I ingest comics, because I usually, I don't get the trades. I don't get the loose leaf trades every week. I usually wait until there's a proper graphic novel. Yeah. And I consume them that way. So it's like a complete story within that entire book, Okay. I'll leave it at that. I feel like DC is a little bit better at the whole legacy thing. Because a lot of, especially the Batman stuff, Batman's been around for decades and decades and decades. It's 75th anniversary, right? Right. Like...
We had that whole episode.
Exactly. You think about how long that character's been around. Of course there has to be contradictions within his character. Of course there has to be, stupid things that you'd rather forget, as far as maybe 70s Batman. Right. That we don't talk about very much. Right. But, at the same time, there's usually a few standout things that they hold on to. They started the New 52, though. So, that's an entire new branch. It's the multiverse type of thing. Right. So you kind of have to know what universe you're in. But once you're in there, I really don't have a problem with it. So moving back to Marvel and specifically Captain America, I really don't see why this is so jarring for people when he can really be up to that task of being Captain America at this point.
The fact that every single character that we look up to is a white person. It doesn't bother me, but there is a level of my consciousness that says, that every one of these guys is a white dude, right? Yeah. When the cartoon Justice League had the Black Green Lantern, everybody I knew, he was their favorite character. There are some people I know personally who don't even know that he's like the third generation Green Lantern. Right. He is the one and only. There's no other. And then when they see the original Green Lanterns, they're like, that ain't no fucking Green. You know what I'm saying? Right. But it shows you that that kind of thing is needed in these comic books.
Yeah. There's a certain responsibility, I feel, like a social responsibility at this point. A lot of these characters were made in a time when there really wasn't that much diversity. A lot of these characters were made by, white people. Right. And in a time where there wasn't much racial equality, there wasn't even a conversation of that, honestly. Right. So now we live in a vastly more inclusive environment of the United States. Yeah. Or I'd like to think so. That's the way that I'd like to at least see the United States in a comic book.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
I feel like that it's a good move. But on the same token, I understand the problem that these diehards have with it, because you don't want it to be at the... in order to make the story work, if that's the way it goes, then that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
But if it's at the sake of losing the storyline just to have a black character,
yeah.
I feel like that's disingenuous to the black community too.
Yeah, definitely.
So I get what they're saying, and this goes in. I feel like the fervor has been started really with the whole announcement that Thor is going to be a woman for the first time.
Yeah.
So
see that announcement was even stranger to me
because it came out on The View. Let's not talk about that. That was weird.
As far as like Captain America goes, if he's being replaced by somebody who has been his friend for almost the entirety of the series itself, and there's a storyline to it that makes it make sense. Steve Rogers dies again, and Sam Wilson takes up the helm somehow. I mean, it makes sense, but because from what I read, I mean, the guy who's writing the female Thor, he's like, this isn't She-Thor,
right,
or Thor.
Thorina.
Or Thor, right. This is Thor. This is how it's going to be from now on. And it's like, but that doesn't make any sense because you already have decades worth of comics of Thor, the Norse god,
right,
who is already part of real mythology. You don't just decide that it's going to be a different gender.
That's been a big problem with people.
If they had another character who was going to control Thor's hammer, which I forgot the name of the hammer.
Mjolnir.
Yeah. Okay. If that's the case, then it makes sense. You have a character who, a female who is worthy, because it says, he who is worthy of this hammer has the powers of Thor. I can dig that. If you're gonna have a female character who is worthy of the hammer, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But you can't just decide that the Thor character is now a woman.
Right. Well, you have to remember, because, mind you, again, for full disclosure, Marco and I are both much more well-versed in the Marvel movies realm of this discussion instead of the comics. We haven't been really diehard Marvel readers like that.
Yeah.
But from what I understand, Thor began as a scientist. I think he finds the artifact, the hammer, and when he touches it, he gets Thor's power. So he becomes Thor.
That's a really interesting origin story.
Yeah.
And that kind of makes the female thing make more sense.
Right. So
if she was just but still, it's still no. It makes it make sense if that's the case, and just a female finds the hammer and she's worthy, then she becomes the female version of Thor.
Right. And that
makes sense.
I think that's probably the way they're going to be going. Mind you, this is all speculation. We haven't really looked into it, but that makes sense in my mind. Is she finds the hammer, she's worthy of the hammer, and she is now Thor.
Right. I'm trying to think of it in terms of like characters that I'm a real big fan of and how I would react. Like if they change, like I'm a huge fan of Iron Man, and I'm a fan of Iron Man before the movies came out. I've been, I don't have a lot of Iron Man comics, but as far as like the character itself has always been, basically. I mean, I used to have Iron Man toys.
Yeah.
Like Iron Man.
No. I get you 100% because me and my cousin Jason were both big Iron Man fans. We got all the toys, all the action figures and stuff. Even when he looked dinky and he looked like he was using a can.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, yeah. So I'm trying to think of it in terms of like if Tony Stark became Tanya Stark, and they just decided one day it was going to be a woman who owns Stark Enterprises.
That's actually kind of interesting,
right? You know what I'm saying?
No, because like he's such a womanizer. Think about it the other way around.
Right?
Like,
if his
what would that say
misogyny
about
was
a woman?
Right?
Would they call her a whore?
That would be more interesting than turning Thor into a woman. It would be more interesting to see them take a character like that, and because it would be a comment on society itself.
Yeah.
It would be really intelligent if they handled it right. It really would be.
I think so, yeah. That's actually really interesting. We should write them.
We should tell them to change Tony Stark into a woman and see how people react to that.
Double standard of misogyny.
But the problem is, and it all kind of goes back to fucking fanboys on the internet, man. It's these guys who I don't want to stereotype, but it's the fucking people who don't get out much. let's just put it out there. They don't get out much. Don't get a lot of women in their basement. And they're the ones who go online and say these just horrible, shitty things about stuff like this.
Well, it's because it's so important to them. It becomes their life.
Right.
Like that's when you're so sort of unenthused about your real life, a lot of times fiction can take over that that spot that's missing for you.
Yeah.
So you obsess over these things. You know, that's where you get those people that play World of Warcraft for days on end. It's because they don't want to live in their shitty life. So,
I mean, I don't want to, I got to talk about these people on a personal level, but from the persona that they put online, I can definitely judge that person because you put it online to be judged because you are judging people.
Right.
I just don't think that there's, like, if you're a guy who's been writing a character for 20 years, let's say your entire career you've been working on like 2 or 3 comics, why wouldn't you want to change things up? Yep. You know, and it kind of goes back to when we talked about the new Fantastic Four movie with Michael B. Jordan playing Johnny Storm.
Right.
Michael B. Jordan, if people don't know, he's African American. It's a huge departure from what the story is going to entail because obviously, that would mean that Sue Storm has to be African American and she is not.
Right.
So they're totally changing the storyline and how these characters are going to be. If these changes are just arbitrary changes to be politically correct, then obviously people are going to be against it, and for a good reason. Yeah. That's a justifiable reason to be against this stuff. But if it's something that just makes the character more interesting or makes the story more interesting, and these writers are doing it because, like, look, I'm not making him black because we have a black president. I'm making him black because I feel like I can get more juice out of that story, and I feel like I can make him a more compelling character. And it's the right time to make him an African American. Like, well, if it's justifiable, then I'm with it.
I want to go beyond that, though. I want them to say, I'm not making him black because I think it's it's the right time to do it. I want him to say that I'm making this character black because Sam Wilson just happens to be an African American, and he's Captain America's friend.
Right.
Like that, he is the person that Captain America
simple.
Chooses to, hold up the shield next. Him being black is not even a factor.
Right. Why does it have to be anything else?
It's that he is the right person for the job.
Right.
He's been the Falcon forever. It's time for him to, step up and be promoted to that role. He's earned it. Not that we're trying to do this, equal opportunity superhero thing. That's not even a factor anymore. I want just to be that he's the right character because of him being the right character.
I think people are looking at it that way, that they're trying to be PC and they're trying to be, they're trying to have this equality. So they're making like female characters and black characters and Latino characters just to have like a rainbow coalition of comic book heroes as opposed to something that just fits in the storyline.
Right.
Which how long have they been writing these comics? Like, if they wanted to start changing things, if they wanted to like start going in a more PC direction, they could have started that shit in the 90s, even the 80s. They could have had a black Spider-Man.
Where do you think like Black Panther came from?
Yeah,
that was the time of not only equality, but really pushing against the whole stereotype of these superheroes being the white guy. The white all-American guy. That was a pushback to that. Blade.
He's a pretty... Black Panther, for instance, is a pretty obvious character. He's a black guy named the Black Panther. He's a rich African guy.
Right.
Who, that's a pretty... not very nuanced character.
Nick Cage.
Right.
Nick Cage, he was a black exploitation character, That's what he was. He talked jive. He had, like a mini fro when he started off.
Yeah.
He was the 70s blaxploitation character.
Yeah.
And that's who, even Blade. Blade started out that way too.
Yeah.
But that was all a pushback to that. It started way back then.
Learn to pull the trigger.
But so I was looking up actually a little bit more information about Captain America, and I realized that Sam Wilson actually won't be the first black Captain America. So that kind of surprised me.
Yeah.
Personally, because I never knew about this storyline, but apparently there's a storyline of a guy named Isaiah Bradley. It apparently takes this weird turn of being semi-Tuskegee experiments.
Okay. That's getting weird.
Yeah. So, but I mean, that's the point. Exactly, is that they apparently experimented with the super serum on African Americans.
You know what? I think I've heard about this too.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going, but I think I've heard about this.
So from what I read, they experimented on, I think, a group of African Americans, as they allude to the experiments that they did actually in real life with syphilis and all that fun stuff. That's not super serum.
That's not super serum.
And so apparently Isaiah Bradley was the one that it worked on, and he took up the mantle of Captain America for a small time.
Huh.
So I don't know the whole storyline on that, but just in case our listeners want to look that storyline up, it sounds pretty interesting. I kind of want to look it up too.
I would love to get the perspective of somebody who's like a comic or an avid comic book reader.
Yeah.
Somebody who just fucking lives for this shit. I would love to know how they feel about this kind of stuff.
Actually, yeah, if you are well read within this storyline and within comic books in general, please throw us a line at onebeerin@gmail.com.
There you go.
Yeah. Or just,
Gmail account.
Yeah, throw us a comment on the video or whatever. We'd really like to hear your perspective on this because we're not really up to the job.
We're not well versed. We should know more.
I'm honestly more of a DC guy as far as comics.
Are you?
Not the characters, but I like the storylines better of specifically Batman. My brother's a big Superman guy, so I kind of grew up with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree that the Marvel characters are cooler.
I think people who dig DC more are the people who like believing in the mythology of a superhero.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Marvel had a lot of characters who
Troubled.
were real people. Yeah. They had a lot of like real stories, real things that happened to them, and they became like X-Men is not about a group of superheroes. It's about a group of people who have genetic mutations that make them not superheroes, but they use those genetic mutations to their advantage, but that doesn't make them superheroes. Spider-Man was a normal kid.
Right.
Peter Parker was just a dork who got bit by a spider. Like DC Comics, all of them are people who, the way I look at it is like Marvel is filled with a bunch of people who they look normal. Mm-hmm. They're gangly and normal looking.
Right.
And when I envision DC, when I close my eyes, I see the quintessential superhero. Huge.
Jacked.
Yeah, just giant man with the spandex and cape flowing.
The classic.
The classic superhero. Yeah. Like Superman as a prototype and then just clones.
Yeah. There's a pretty good PBS documentary on Netflix right now if you guys want to look it up. I would just keyword search superhero. I recently watched it and they brought up a good point, basically saying that the Marvel characters were people that got their superpowers by accident.
Right.
Most of the people within DC were born with them, or they were just endowed with these powers that they've had since they were born.
They were
basically
kind of thrust upon them.
Yeah. I mean, even Green Lantern, he accepted the ring.
Yeah.
It wasn't an accident. The most of the people in Marvel had something happen to them, and they have to accept the powers that they're given and learn what to do with them.
And I mean, Marvel characters, they have the power, but it's not something that makes them virtually invincible like most DC characters. Like Green Lantern gets the ring and he's just a normal guy. Hal Jordan's just a normal dude, and then once he gets the ring, he becomes almost indestructible, as far as how he can control the ring and the lantern and the power that he can wield with it. He is almost indestructible.
Well, the one key thing is they always have usually one main weakness.
They always have the one.
That one weakness.
It's always the one.
So with Green Lantern, it's the yellow lantern, right? Obviously, Kryptonite is the other one.
All right.
Batman's a human.
That's his one weakness.
He can get
hit
crushed
him hard
to death
enough, and he will die.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the
they always have the one,
differentiator.
but everything else makes them almost immortal.
Yeah.
As far as Marvel characters, a lot of them are just if somebody decided to shoot Spider-Man, that would kind of be it. I don't know why anybody hasn't decided to just bless him in his head.
Well, he has the spider senses that keeps him from. Yeah.
No, I get what you're saying. Yeah, that makes sense. They write themselves out of these corners that they create.
Of course they do.
And if they don't, they'll just kill a character and then bring him back 6 months later.
Wolverine's gonna die. I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah, I did hear that actually.
Yeah.
I did. I don't know. I don't get. Actually, I do get. They're making all these changes now because of the movies, and now they have a spotlight on them because a couple years ago, I didn't see articles about the changes that were being made in, comic book lore. Like, nobody gave a shit. Now they care because people watch the TV show, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right.
And they watch the movies. One girl on my Facebook, her favorite movie is The Avengers, but I guarantee you she's never picked up a comic in her life. And that's who they're gearing it towards. People like that who now decide to pick up comic books and realize, man, I don't want to read this, and throw it away and just watch The Avengers on Netflix for the 50th time. Mm-hmm. And that's fine.
Yeah,
if you're that kind of person, that's fine. I'm not, putting you down for being that kind of person, but it's just kind of like it just feels forced on the writers of these comic books part to start making these drastic changes now that they know that they have this microscope on them, and they're like, now we can fuck shit up and see what happens.
Well, it's always been a thing of whenever they kill off a character, it's to sell more books.
Yeah.
Period. Because the people that have been there all the time, along the way, are going to buy that book.
Yeah.
Because they want to see what happens. And then the people that haven't been buying those books know they can jump in after the death and start new,
Yeah. That's another thing. That's another reason why I wouldn't ever buy a comic book, because, man, how would you like to be 60 years late to a party? It's like, I get that there's ways to kind of jump in, but I'm not that kind of person. For me, I can't watch a sequel to a movie until I see the first movie. Mm-hmm. I just can't. I can't bring myself to sit down
or watch
a video game. I'll never play a part 2 of a video game unless I play I have to, even if I don't beat the first game, I have to at least experience it first before I can play the second game. I just can't do it. So I can't jump in 60 years after a character has been developed and then say, I'll start reading this.
You can't think of it that way, though.
I know. It bothers me. There's things that I have a slight OCD about.
Yeah.
That's one of those things.
I got it. And I think that's why I really gravitated towards the DC Comics, was because the lore is so well known.
Right.
You know what happens to Batman when he's a kid.
Right.
You don't have to, reread that.
Right.
That's fine. You know Superman's origin story. So as long as you know who's writing from point A to point B, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I know that there's one auteur, if you will, that's controlling this story throughout an entire. That's why I like graphic novels from page 1 to page 150.
Right. No, it's this one person writing.
This one thought that's going along the entire thing. An artist and a writer, and I like that to be complete.
Right. And that's another thing. If it music, for instance, I have to hear. I can't. It's hard for me to. This generation of music listening, people just buy a song on iTunes. Mm-hmm. I can never do that. If I like a song, I need to hear the whole album. Right. And I know you're the same way.
Oh, yeah.
You can't just hear a song. It's I need to hear the whole. Obviously, we can enjoy a song.
Yeah.
But if I'm gonna support an artist for a song, I gotta hear the whole album.
Buy the album.
Definitely. And that's the same thing with this comic with these characters. It's I can't just read one comic. I need to read the entire thing. Well, there's no way to do that.
That's been a big problem with me, specifically with The Walking Dead.
Yeah,
that's been going on for years, and they have 2 compendiums, which I don't know if you know is the amassed collection of the majority of the storyline up to that point. So it's a book about that thick, and for people that are listening, it looks about as big as 2 Bibles.
Right.
So they have 2 of those already. And I'm still on book 4 of the smaller graphic novels.
Yeah, and he's still writing them.
He's still writing them. It's still continuing. So I know there's no end in sight, but I know there's a lot of really good stuff within that.
That's crazy.
So I've stopped for now because I don't have a job and I can't really support my habit. But it's one of those things that I really do want to continue to pick up because I know that it's something waiting for you.
Yeah.
It's like a TV show that it's not going to end until you're done reading it.
Right.
Until you're done getting through that storyline, it's not going to finish. And that's exciting to me. That's why I like reading.
Yeah.
You do it on your own pace. Everything else is paced for you. The show's going to be 60 minutes long. The show's going to be 45 minutes long.
Right.
You're along for the ride. When you're reading, you set your own pace for it.
Right.
You read as fast or slow as you want. You glance over stuff if you want. You go deeply into it and you think about it if you really want to.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is a good time to kind of wrap this motherfucker up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think maybe we should. I don't know about buying the comics, but maybe going to Coliseum and checking them out
Yeah.
and seeing how maybe they look.
Well, again, anybody that's listening that's super well versed in the comic realm, most of our friends aren't really in that world so much. You know, we're all kind of of the same mind where, you know, we're into the video games, we're into the movies, we're into the cartoons, you know, back in the day of all these Marvel characters and DC characters. I mean, you know, love that type of stuff. And, you know, I read some of the comics, but I'm not exactly a comic buff, obviously. So if you're into that sort of thing, let us know what you would recommend for us.
Right.
You know, I've read most of the classic, you know, Batman comics that everybody recommends. I'm pretty fluent in those.
You let me borrow Killing Joke and Year One.
Dark Knight Rises.
I don't know if I read that.
It's great.
So
Frank Miller.
I might have to read that.
Okay. I'll let you borrow that.
Okay.
But anyway, you know, besides those usual ones, what are some sort of hidden gems, I'd say, of either Marvel or DC or Vertigo or, you know, whatever else you guys would recommend, even some of the indie comic books. Let us know what we should read, and maybe we'll review something sometime.
Yeah, that would be pretty fun.
Add another angle to this thing.
So, yeah, if you got anything, drop it in the comments section of the YouTube. Check out the WordPress. Check out the Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. It's all at One Beer In, all one word. I think that's it for us tonight.
Yep.
My name is Mr. Dupa. That is Adam Obesius Rodriguez. Sorry, Drunk Dave, you couldn't be here. We wish you were. But thank you guys for listening and have a beautiful evening. Love you. Bye.
So